Whakaalofalahiatu, good evening and welcome to our Bulletin of BCN News. More than 900 people have registered for the Pfizer vaccine. 750 doses of the vaccine arrived into the country on Tuesday afternoon, and yesterday the New F4 hospital was bustling with activity as more than 150 people were vaccinated in the first public rollout of the vaccine, including Premier Dalton Tagilangi. Here's more on our leading story. For those who have been to the New F4 hospital, you would not have recognized the place yesterday because over the past week, the staff of the Health Department and the Ministry of Social Services have been hard at work converting part or most of the hospital into the National COVID-19 Vaccination Centre. There are several stations and booths, all manned by trained medical staff, and all were ready and waiting for the first people to be vaccinated. People were ushered through several stations in what seemed like a well-orchestrated spectacle. First in line was Premier Dalton Tagilangi, joined by the Minister of Finance Crosley Tatui and the Secretary to Government Pileni Talangi. Just before 8:30 a.m. yesterday morning, the Premier was ushered through the various stages of the vaccination process, starting with the general health screening before proceeding to the vaccination booth. There he was met by Senior Dr. Waimanupulu, who administered the Premier's first Pfizer jab. While the Premier was receiving his vaccine, frontliners, including their families, were lining up for their shots. The busy hospital waiting area was bustling with activity as more people came in to register. Most people BCN spoke to were very pleased with the efficiency of the process, and many were happy with what they described as a little prick on the arm. Finance Minister Crosley Tatui was quite impressed with the process.
I found it quite straightforward compared to other type of vaccinations I had in the past. There was really no difference at all. Perhaps just the procedure, the processes to go through from step 1 to number 5, station 5, where we are now. Otherwise, everything's fine. I appreciate the professionalism by the staff and the way they have set out the arrangements. Excellent.
Frontliner and frequent flyer Alan Tano Puliosi and his wife Moka were also there yesterday to receive their vaccine. Alan Tano believes that the vaccination against COVID-19 should be mandatory.
It's like no more injection. I advise everyone to come and take. It's the only safe way to travel and protect our island from this COVID-19.
As this bulletin was being recorded, the Health Department confirmed that 912 people have registered to receive the Pfizer vaccine, which is around 75% of the eligible population of 1,200 people. The hospital will be open through until Saturday to administer the vaccine to around 150 people per day. While most people are keen to be vaccinated, there are, however, a few people who have said that they will not be taking the vaccine. Premier Dalton Tagilangi have this to say in encouraging those people to vaccinate against COVID-19.
One thing first, we're protecting them and they're protecting their friends and their families. And most of all, we're protecting everyone here in Niue. So if you want to live in a happy, nice, small country like Niue, it's important that you follow some of the advice there to ensure that you'll take it to vaccinate, to protect all others and all around you. All I can say, don't be selfish. We're doing this. The track record for it has proven. And that's what I pray for this morning, that it's good we've taken the jab, but we always pray for the effectiveness that it works well for all of us.
By 9 a.m., Premier Dalton Tagilangi was walking out of the New F4 hospital, but firstly posed for his picture to say that he had just been vaccinated. For the next few weeks, the scene will be repeated as people will be going in to take their vaccine, and hopefully for the few remaining people on the island who have yet to register, that they too will be doing so over the next few days. The next large consignment of vaccine doses will arrive on Tuesday next week. In its 7th year, the government is now deciding on the future of the 4-day working week, with the Minister of Finance, Crossley Tatui, in his budget speech saying that the government can no longer afford to sustain the government's 4-day working week. One of the most controversial policies ever introduced in the public service was in January of 2014, when the Public Service Commission announced that the government departments and employees will work a 4-day week and still receive their normal 5-day working week salary.
I think the founding policies and reasons for having the 4 days may still be applicable, but in terms of affordability and sustainability, we really need to look seriously into the implications because of the situation we're facing with a deficit budget. I don't think we can survive going forward with the 4 days work policy.
BCN News, in a quick poll of 5 public servants, asked whether they preferred the 4-day week or 5-day week. Not surprising, all 5 public servants preferred the 4-day week, saying that they used the Friday off to work mainly for the community and their families. One of them said that she uses her Friday to attend to her university studies. In a similar polling of the private sector and NGOs, out of the 5 people, 4 of them said that they would prefer for the government to return to the 5-day week. One respondent said that given the country's financial situation, it's not fair on the taxpayers that some people are working 4 days while others are working 5. While one business owner says that 4 days a week is okay now because they and other people are used to it. However, Minister Tatui says that with the government's current financial predicament, it is time to seriously consider returning to a 5-day working week.
If we are left with no other options, 4 days policy must be looked at as one of the first feasible options to apply. That should apply to revert back to the 5 days, notwithstanding the fact we have to weigh up the cost at the same time. Whether we allow the 4 days to continue without paying for the Friday free, or these are the possible options we must look at.
And in our Talking Budget series, tonight we look at the expenditure and revenue estimates of each ministry, analysing the government's $33.5 million expenditure budget and its $28.2 million revenue budget. The estimates in the government's new $4.7 million deficit budget for 2021 and 2022. The ministry with the highest expenditure in the government's $33.5 million spending in the 2021-2022 budget is the Ministry of Social Services, expected to spend $12.3 million. Central agencies, which include Cabinet Parliamentary Services, the Office of the Secretary of Government, Crown Law, Public Service Commission, Finance, Treasury and Planning, and New Police, are expected to spend $8.2 million. The Ministry of Infrastructure will be spending a budget of $6.1 million, and the ministry of the lowest expenditure budget is the Ministry of Natural Resources, spending $1.5 million. New Tourism and Bulk Fuel, which makes up the commercial and trading arm of the recurrent budget, will be spending $4.3 million. Most of this money will be spent by Bulk Fuel at $3.9 million, while New Tourism is expected to spend $429,000. The government is also planning to spend $900,000 in the investment and development in the following areas: $80,000 for vanilla workers, $80,000 for the rubbish truck contract. The Nioffa Organic Organisation will receive $80,000, $200,000 for pensioners' bathroom and toilet facilities program, and $230,000 community projects for village and churches, and $100,000 of capital expenditure. In terms of revenue generation, where the government expects to generate $28.2 million, central agencies are expected to generate $19.3 million in revenue. The Ministry of Infrastructure will generate an estimated $4.2 million, half of this amount from the Niue Power. Bulk Fuel is expected to generate $3.9 million. While the Ministry of Natural Resources and Social Services combined are expected to generate a revenue of $1.2 million. The government's 2021-2022 recurrent budget has a deficit of $4.7 million. Earlier this week, the government announced that starting from the 1st of July, all arriving passengers will be charged for staying in managed isolation accommodation, and applications for home quarantine will also incur a $20 charge. Premier Tagilangi also confirmed that when the borders open up in a few months' time for the two-way quarantine-free travel, all incoming passengers will be required to be vaccinated. The cost for passengers staying at government-managed isolation and quarantine facilities will be around $150 per person per night. This will apply for passengers who don't ordinarily reside in Niue, in the three categories of Niuean descendants, essential workers, and those on special requests. The Premier says that these changes have always been part of the government's plans.
Well, this has been considered since the beginning of the year, given the cost in order to manage and the work behind it, the logistics behind it. But it took a while like everything else. We finally got the paper. We thought we'll put it in. But not to worry. If the borders open in a couple of months, then you don't have to pay. It's more something to guide us by. As you know, these are all donor funded, so we've got to also show some responsibility of utilising those donor funds, but we can't just sit and rely on government all the time. So it's just measures, I guess, that would help with people, for them to understand that there is a cost involved for them being managed in isolation centres. That's all it is.
Home quarantine applications will incur a fee of $20 per application also to commence from the 1st of July. The number of passengers on each fortnightly flight will remain at 40. On the issue of a vaccine passport, Premier Tagilangi says that in a matter of course, when the borders eventually open up to a two-way quarantine-free travel with New Zealand, all incoming passengers will be required to be vaccinated.
Once we'll get vaccinated, the ones we'll allow into the island is only those that has been vaccinated. Then I think that's common sense, straightforward. Yes, so we encourage people. I know there's a lot that want to come on holidays. I mean, at the moment I'm already sort of targeting those border workers, frontline workers in New Zealand. I think they need a break, and what a better place to have a break. We're looking at the moment also exploring other the fortnightly flight. It might become a weekly, but this depends on the numbers and once we open up to the two-way.
The Office of the Secretary of Government will have all the latest information on travel advisories. And without doubt, this has been the most trying 12 or 16 months for any government. And this month marks the first year of Premier Dalton Tagilangi's government. It's been a tough year for his government as the COVID pandemic continues, and also for the Premier himself personally when his wife Tanya was urgently medevaced to New Zealand in September last year. In a first public statement about his family situation, Premier Dalton Tagilangi told BCN News yesterday that his wife Tanya will be returning home next week. It's wonderful to know that Premier's wife Tanya will be returning home next week. In our other news, and unfortunately the first internet service provider on the island, Kanu, which has been in operation since 2003, their technicians found out over the weekend that one of their key pieces of equipment located at Halamahanga in Alofi South was damaged in what is suspected to be a deliberate act of sabotage.
Shortly on Sunday evening, we got reports from some of our Kanu customers on our Wi-Fi internet that their service had gone offline. We couldn't really do much at that night time, so on Monday morning we investigated further, only to find quite a bit of damage to one of the antennas located at Halamahanga in Alofi South. So it was really sad to see that it was offline, so we waited until police was present yesterday to have a look and give us their opinion on what it was. So it was good to have that authority be at the same time with us and go through the right process.
According to owner and founder of Ka Niu e Mani Whakausimanawa Lui, the police are now involved and investigating the incident, which happened at around 8 p.m. on Sunday night.
You know, the disappointment and what has happened, we found with the police that was present yesterday. There were pallets that came out of the antenna. It was definitely shot at, and you know, we've been doing this since 2003, providing Wi-Fi to the people, and our understanding with all of our people is that the antennas and the Wi-Fi system that we run provides a great service to the people of Niue. And even though we have some people that sometimes get into trouble, but they've never given us any grief with our equipment because of that understanding that it serves a purpose for everyone. So if something was to happen, then you know they obviously get affected. But in this instance, it's just unfortunate and just sad to see this kind of thing happening in 2021.
The case is now with the Niue police, but Mr. Whakausimanawa Lui says that it's very disappointing because from what they witnessed with the damage caused to the equipment, it looked like a deliberate attempt to damage their equipment.
So there was more than one pallet that was found that fell out of the antenna, as well as multiple shot marks, holes in it. So if it was an accident, it would have been one. If it was reported to us, perhaps we could have come to some understanding and just repaired it, and just went along our own ways. But there were definitely more than one shot, so that is, I guess, on purpose, using it as the target practice, or whatever the purpose is. Just seriously disappointed with it.
But the services to Alufi has been restored?
Yes, we restored that on Monday morning, and then yesterday we replaced what was there. So there are two antennas there. One is for servicing the Taloa Heights tourists and guests, and because they weren't any there, we repurposed the other one and provided that service for everyone else that is on our public Wi-Fi. So they've been online since Monday morning.
The bulaimat volleyball tournament held over the weekend attracted 25 teams. The one-day event held at Baliasi was dominated by Vaia in both the men's and the women's categories. In the women's category, with 9 teams, Meleta Delacy led the Vaia women's team to the finals against the Niue High School team. Vaia was just too good, winning the women's competition. 16 teams played in the men's category, and Vaia also winning this competition, beating Alofi in the finals. Vaia's men's team was led by Lito Junior Te Alaala. This is the third year of the Bula Volleyball Tournament, and Minister of Sports Sauni Tongatule acknowledged their contribution to the sporting activities and the promotion of active lifestyles on the island. The tournament was officially opened by Minister Tongatule. And congratulations, the organisers of bulaimat volleyball tournament, but especially well done to Vaia for their accomplishments over the weekend. And speaking of weekend, you can join the village of Hakupuatua for their annual village show day this coming Saturday. I'll be there as well. And for those of you who have yet to register for the Pfizer vaccine or go up to screen for the hepatitis B and C, please do so now, before the next lot of vaccines come in. But that's our news for tonight. You have a wonderful weekend. Join me for our bulletin in Wangahau on Tuesday next week. Until then, mono i ne pō, nono whā.